Hey fellas, welcome back to the Union. I can't, you know what? I'm at a loss. I don't know what number we are. I think this is episode 9.
9.
Yeah, it is 9. So pretty good. So obviously, I think some people like us. Seem to have enough people watching. Not enough people watching. We need more people to watch. But we are getting some comments. And Dave, do you have something?
Yeah, make sure you like and subscribe, boys. Come on, let's go.
Like as my kid says, like and subscribe, guys. Like and subscribe.
Hit that follow button.
Yeah, hit that follow button. Swipe up. You could swipe left, but probably wouldn't work in this instance. But funny story about that, actually, Dave? But
yeah.
Anyways, so episode 9, everybody. Thanks so much for continuing to come on and watch this. Again, we're just a bunch of guys that just love one another's company, love ripping on one another, talking shit, talking hunting, talking family, talking good morals, right? So as you can tell, again, this week, we're missing one. So our ginger friend Ryan is out probably roasting in the sun right now. He's probably like a lobster, I would think, by now. Hey, Mark, what do you think? Yeah, he's probably,
he is right there.
Yeah, he's red as a beet right now. So he's not with us tonight, but we have the 4 of us. And at some point during the show, Ian McCleary from the Real Outdoor Experience, he's going to jump in. He's got a little bit of advice for us on tonight's topic. But Dave, I just wanted to pass the conch over to you. Because there's something going on with our website, and I just wanted you to pass it on to everybody, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so currently we had a bit of a problem with the people making our sweaters. They were supposed to do as much as they could from Canada, but as some people know, some of their stuff, like their shirts, they were actually making them in Latvia and sending them over. As such, we've dropped that t-shirt company and we found one that's 100% Canadian, and we're going to go through them. So we're just in the transition phase right now. Sorry about that. Also, shipping is delayed right now on orders that have already been made because of COVID. Hopefully that COVID shit goes away soon. Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah, so if you go on our website right now, everything will say that it's sold out. That's just because Dave doesn't want anybody placing any orders right now and having to wait 6 months to get a goddamn hat come in from Latvia. So everything's shut down, like Mark. So like Dave said, everything's shut down. Before we get going, I do want to put a big shout out. You will see us periodically throughout on the shows sometime wearing this merchandise. Yeah, right here. The Maritime Goose Hunters. Awesome startup that's just kicked off this year out of St. John, New Brunswick, and something different that obviously it's close to my heart. But these are a group of guys, no military experience whatsoever, but their entire goal is to take veterans and first responders hunting. So goose hunting, duck hunting, waterfowl hunting, whatever it is. So I'd love it if you could take a chance and go on their Instagram, say hi, follow them, tell them that the boys at the Union sent you over, and check them out, because I think you're really going to see some pretty special things from these guys. Like we always try to do, is keep it as close to down to earth and grassroots as possible. And I really do think that these guys have their priorities straight, and and they are really doing a good thing. Winner of the week, boys. We got to get this like talked about right away. Let's go for it, Mark. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this unbelievable buck.
That was fucking good, man. So, yeah, this guy down in the States, he went out before season and seen this beautiful buck. And the only issue he had in getting it was that it was on the wrong side of a fence, a very high fence, we'll say. And anyway, he went through the fence and shot it, cut the head off it, and took the head with him and left the body sitting there several days before season. Unbeknownst to him, another person had spent $20,000 to hunt this particular buck. So when deer season opened, the individual who shot the buck had his picture with this deer, and he posted it on Facebook with this amazing world record rack for a wild buck. And it didn't take long for people to put two and two together, and they investigated on the ranch where was this missing deer, and they found the headless body. And obviously they had pictures of this deer before it got shot. So anyway, the guy kind of got busted. like almost the same day as he put the pictures up.
Like I'm not a deer hunter, fellas. But I am a moose hunter, so I do understand the draw to that big rack. But that's taking it to an extreme. So the part you left out, Mark, was that after he cut the head off the deer, he dragged it through the fence and then hid it underneath a bridge for 3 days, and waited until deer season opened. So then he recovered the head with no deer and just snapped a bunch of pictures of himself and put it on social media. Like, here's your sign. That's a special kind of stupid right there.
Oh yeah, you got $9,000 fine, and that was in restitution. That was the cost that the ranch paid for the deer from another group who farmed the deer. So he had to pay that $9,000 value. I'm guessing that's an expensive deer.
That's
$9,000 for a whitetail.
Well, I want to know what the dude does for a living, the fella that paid $20,000 to shoot that thing.
I'm not going to get into that one.
No, I like my dad says, if you think I'm jealous, you're right. So, Ian, good to see you, buddy.
Nice to see you guys. Fun to come in on the world's dumbest poacher conversation.
Man, it was awesome. It was awesome. So everybody, just like I said, Ian was going to come in and join in on us, and Ian's going to give us a little bit of pointers. Phil's going to actually spend some time this evening. Did you get your, is that cigar still going, Philly? Are you going to be able to talk and smoke at the same time, buds?
I can walk and chew gum. I got this.
Awesome. So Philly's going to give us a little talk. It seems every year this always comes up, and sometimes it's in the summertime, sometimes at the beginning of the waterfowl season, and sometimes it's towards the end, and there always seems to be an incident involving safety on the water, and that can be that whole gamut, that whole hockey sock full of reasons. But when trying to figure out what we were going to talk about this week, I believe, Dave, it was your idea to let's probably do a boat safety thing. The warm weather is coming. Everyone's getting out, and especially everyone's been cooped up in the house with COVID. So everyone's heading out to the lakes and the beaches and stuff. So, probably a good time to do a chat about boat safety. So Philly, without stealing any of your thunder, buddy, I know you've been working on this tirelessly over the last couple weeks. So,
yeah.
So over to you, buds.
I don't even know where to start. Like, there's just so much. One of the biggest things I can, just overall, Like obviously this is more geared towards waterfowling and late season, the cold weather and this and that. But one of the biggest things I can suggest for guys going out is, for the love of Christ, tell someone where the fuck you're going. Tell them, like, my wife, she knows every time I'm out, this is where I'm parking my truck. This is the area I'm going to be hunting. This is who I'm going to be with. Like these are things I cannot stress enough. And obviously, slightly different for me. I run an 18.5-foot boat. I got a Z Beast. I got a big 60 tiller. And as you've seen, Damien, like I've been down at Long Point running 4-foot rollers in that thing, and it was just a blast. Like, another thing I strongly suggest for guys going out is check the weather. Check the weather and know what your boat can do. Having the big boat that I have, I know like certain areas, 40K winds, I'll go. Like it's not an issue for me. I can handle a 40K wind. And even then, like a lot of the places I hunt, there's God knows how many boat ramps. You can get into that water on like an onshore wind, like a wind over your back launching, so you don't have waves crashing the boat ramp, right? So launching and taking in and out, is not an issue. On top of that, make sure your safety equipment's in working order. Like everyone knows, like those orange, little orange containers. It's got your floating rope. You're absolutely useless as tits on a bull flashlight, and they are
Right.
your whistle. One of the biggest things I strongly suggest is swapping out that flashlight. Like I said, they are absolutely useless. Get yourself a good, solid, floating, waterproof LED flashlight. Even if you're not, like, none of us ever use them. It's just there, obviously, for the safety reasons. When I'm out in the boat, I got a big spotlight. I got my headlamps, all that jazz, right? Make sure your batteries are in working order. On top of having, like, I got my safety kit. It's in the boat solely for the purpose of it needs to be there. On top of that, I got my Javex jug with the bottom cut out. Works great for going pee-pee. But it's a hell of a lot better bailing bucket than that stupid little useless orange thing. Obviously, I've got an onboard bilge pump. Things fail, right? Me having the big boat that I do, I got batteries. Make sure your batteries are filled with distilled water. I learned that the hard way a couple years ago and absolutely fried a battery. I basically boiled it. That's what they call it. I boiled the battery, and it is absolutely pooch. It's actually sitting over there on the floor. Life jackets, make sure you got enough life jackets. Christ, if anything, have one extra. I carry 4 in my boat at all times. And I kid you not, I probably have another 2 or 3 just sitting here in the garage in the rafters just for the sake of it. Have ropes, have thick rope. Again, something else I learned the hard way. Running too thin of a rope on a big 18.5-foot boat like what I've got. I've had ropes snap off docks. So I run 3 ropes on my boat. I got a big long one on the front, 2 short ones off the back corners. Make sure they're a good, thick, solid 3/8, half-inch marine grade rope so they don't rot out and what have you. Check your drain plug. As we all know, like, they're all made of rubber. Over time, they will rot, they will crack, they will fail. Nothing worse than being out bomb rat on the lake, and next time you're taking in water because your drain plug gave out and you're making a mad dash to shore, right? Carry a spare drain plug in case yours falls out or you forget it or whatever. Another big thing, go over your trailer. Make sure your bearings are good, your tires are good, they got air, your wires are all tight. I highly suggest running the dielectric grease on the connectors. Obviously to prevent corrosion and such. Your straps, make sure your straps are in good working order, they're tight. I've got good, big, proper, like seatbelt style grade straps for the back of my boat. Those little dinky ratchet straps that you used to hold down a 2x4 in the back of your truck ain't gonna cut it. I've snapped those, they're useless. Make sure you have your boating license on you, because if you ever get stopped, that's one of the first things they're gonna check is, do you have your boating license? Do the lights work on your boat? Like, I've got, my boat's hardwired. I got the red and green up front. I got the post with the white for the back, all run off the batteries that are on my boat that I constantly keep charged up. aside from that, like I said, like check your weather. That's one of the biggest things. On top of that, and someone know where you're going to be, check your weather. Know what your boat can handle. One of the first boats I ever started out with was a little 12-foot tinny in a 1966 Johnson 6-horse, which I both still own to this day because I refuse to give them up. I knew, and that 12-footer was a big 12-foot tinny. Like I'd fire it right in the back of the truck, but it was big. I knew 20K, that was my limit. That was what I was comfortable with that boat, was a 20K wind. And now over time, having the bigger boat and spending a shit ton more time on the water, I know winds from certain directions, you know, whether it be a 20K, a 30K, a 40K, I know exactly what I'm getting into. And, you know, again, it's not a big dick waving competition. I tell you now, you're going to lose. If you're out there in November and you tip and you ain't got a life jacket on, for those that haven't experienced, you know, a cold water swim, you're probably going to die. Like I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to sugarcoat this shit. You're going to lose. So I said, like, for the love of Christ, know your winds, know your directions, and let someone know where you're going. These are by far the biggest things I cannot stress enough when it comes to boat safety and hunting out of a boat.
That's some good points, Phil. And you know what? In case anybody that's listening haven't put it together yet, I'm from Newfoundland, and I grew up on the water. I grew up in the Atlantic Ocean. I grew up fishing with my grandfather. So I have a huge amount of respect for the water. But last fall, I went to Lake Erie and hunted Long Point. And I think that was a really good eye-opener for me, because I think I had got a little bit complacent after being in Ontario and spending, like, I've got an actual duck boat with a mud motor, the whole bit. So my boat is not designed whatsoever to be out on Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, any of these places. And I think I got a little bit complacent when it comes to, you know, just operating in big water and the whole bit. So two things that I took away from the trip in at Long Point. One, ensure you know where your cell phone is, because when you're putting out long lines of decoys and your cell phone is in your breast pocket of your waders and you accidentally dial 911, and then you hear an operator asking if you're okay, you pull it out, and they've already pinned that I'm out on Lake Erie. Emergency services are getting spooled up. Because I had an iPhone and my wife is on my emergency contact, she's already been contacted that I'm in trouble out on Lake Erie. So can you imagine the shitstorm at 5 o'clock in the morning that I'm going, and I'm out in the middle of Lake Erie trying to put out long lines of divers, and I'm talking to the lady at dispatch. EMS is getting fired up. My wife Trish is calling me, wondering if I'm okay, if I'm drowning. So first off, you know, make sure you don't make the same mistake I made right there. And the big thing, Phil, was when you brought up the lights, your red and green lights. I never ever use my red and green lights because I'm always on little tiny ponds, little tiny bodies of water, and it's usually just me where I'm at, and I've got a big, you know, LED light bar on the front of my boat when I'm using them. But when I was at Long Point last year and was out with Steve and Ketty, they had asked me, "Where's your red and green lights?" And I'm like, "Well, they're in the gunnel. They're in the gunnel box." And they were like, "Well, put them on." I'm like, "I got a great big LED light on her. What do I?" You better have it on, because if you do not have those lights on, and whoever monitor fisheries or the OPP, whoever is out monitoring that lake. You could get yourself into some serious trouble if you're not mounting those lights on. So,
LED light bar is not the law.
Yeah,
Your red and green and your white is.
Yeah. So I guess, I maybe some people are listening and they're like, oh yeah, well, I don't have to worry about that where I go. I'm out in a little tiny boat and I'm just on this. Yeah, I get you, because that was me. But at some point, you're probably going to expand past your normal hunting hole, and you do not want to be stuck without that safety equipment that Phil's talking about, right? And so don't get complacent. So, Phil, all good points. And the reason why we brought Ian on tonight was to play into the insurance side of things and the importance of that insurance. And Ian, I guess we're really looking for some expertise. And I don't really need you to get into horror stories or anything like that, but just on your own experience, how troublesome could it really be? Because I'm sure someone's listening and they're going to say, well, I'm not putting insurance on my 12-foot tinner. You know what I mean? And I guess what we really need to know is in your experience, how troublesome could it be not having insurance? And that's traveling to and from the boat launch as well as being on the water.
Oh, you know what? That's it's such a big conversation, Damien. But you know what? Such an important one, and it's so easy to sort of forget about the importance of it. Before I jump right into the actual insurance piece, because it's actually a great segue from the safety piece. We've talked about making sure your plugs are good, and your straps are there, and your ropes there. An ounce of prevention is worth well more than a pound of cure. And the one thing I would also just to pile on to what Phil was saying, top up your gas, because that's, when you're running late and you're like, oh, how much gas is there, but I really want to get to the boat launch. Getting halfway out there running out of gas. And you spend enough time in the water, you're going to tow somebody in. And that's an important piece. A candle has come in handy for me more times than I care to admit. Not so much to provide light or heat, but I've used a candle to carve a boat plug. you lose your plug or it's not working or whatever. And, even if you want to make a short lunch, using a candle to actually help in wet weather helps an awful lot. Phil also mentioned carrying your boating license. Get a policy wallet from your insurance guy, because they're the only ones that make this kind of stuff. In mine, I carry my boating license. You'll also notice that there's some money in there. Just, you never know. And if that's all you've got your license, you got your boat. Put all your hunting license and your tags in one of these things. Mm-hmm. I have them by the thousands. You don't have to be a customer to get them. Let me know. Bearings on your trailer are really, really important. How often do you see boats on the side of the road with a tire coming off? Probably not a flat tire. It's probably a blown bearing. And trying to fix those on the side of the road is an absolute nightmare. But
I've been there. Dave knows.
Me too. Yeah, no, me too. And it's a nightmare. So check your grease. Those things are really important. One of the things that I think everybody should be, from an insurance perspective, really afraid of, when you're taking somebody with you, whether they're a paying customer or a buddy or anything else, they're under your care, custody, and control. And therefore, if something happens to them, you could get named in a lawsuit. It doesn't matter if they're a buddy. It's not personal when it comes to insurance. If there's an issue and a lawyer is talking to them, it's like, okay, well, who can we name in this? And it's okay. It's not going to impact Damien or Phil or Mark or Dave, anybody individually, because it's just going to be the insurance company that's going to wind up paying. So lawyers will name everybody. And it's the liability portion of your boat insurance that winds up being important. As far as there is extensions of liability that will come from your home insurance, because that covers you and kind of anything you do sort of out and about. But having boat insurance specifically just makes it a lot cleaner and easier, and it's additional coverage should limits ever really be reached. Liability is what you're really afraid of. If you've got a 12-foot tinner, every home insurance policy will cover up to $1,000 worth of personal watercraft. Okay, and anything that's in that personal watercraft is considered contents of your home, no matter sort of what it's used for in your boat. But the big concerns, I think, are liability. You have a 12-foot tinner, and something happens to it. What do you owe? $2,000? That's a loss you're going to recover from. That's not really a big deal. But you get sued for $1 million, and you don't have the right policy in place. Well, that's a very different story. Something I think that people need to realize when they're buying, or looking at a boat and boat insurance, liability for the boat and trailer while being towed stems from the towing vehicle. So that's covered under your auto policy. So until you get to the boat ramp, it doesn't matter. All liability is covered from your boat. As soon as you put your boat in the water, anything that you do, you're on your own. And if somebody is paying you for anything, then that's again, that can confuse things also. But if your boat goes down or you tip, somebody gets hurt, a hunting accident or whatever, your insurance is going to respond in terms of defense. And that's probably, again, the more common piece of that. And if anybody wants to interrupt with a question, feel free to just jump right in. But when somebody gets sued, you can get sued for anything. That doesn't mean that you're going to pay. Liability needs to be established, or before liability can be established, negligence needs to be determined. And negligence is defined as failing to do something that a reasonable and prudent person would have done, or doing something that a reasonable and prudent person wouldn't have done. But if negligence is determined, then liability is then established, and then it just becomes a matter of how much it's going to pay. When people get sued, generally speaking, liability isn't going to respond because negligence is a bit of a moving target. But your boat insurance policy is going to be a whole lot less than that first even phone call to the lawyer going, I just got this letter that is accusing me of all these bad things. And that's just the way that the law piece works. So, I'm going to put it back to you. I'll talk insurance all day long. Physical damages, liability, contents, all your stuff. Like that's all part of this conversation, but you give me some direction there if you want.
Yeah, no. And that's great. So go ahead, Dave.
So what you're saying is, when you're driving your boat to the boat launch, your trailer is covered just like a normal trailer was, like with the vehicle, right? But then as soon as you get there, your boat is separate from the vehicle. Is that what you're saying?
From a liability perspective, not physical damages to the trailer or to the boat. Those are, you need collision and comprehensive in order to have physical damage coverage to the trailer and the boat itself while you're driving. But if you're driving down the road and the trailer starts to fishtail and takes out a cyclist, the liability for the boat and trailer is going to respond from the auto policy that was pulling that trailer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. No, I just wanted to make sure it was clear for everyone.
Yeah, well, then that's it's very, very different from physical damages. So again, if you're, you think, why do I need physical damage coverage on a trailer? And whether it's a boat trailer or whether it's an RV, you're driving down the road and it starts to fishtail, swings around and bangs into the side of your truck. You've got comprehensive, I'm assuming, or make that assumption for the sake of this, that's going to cover the damage to your truck. But if you don't have physical damage coverage on your boat and trailer, there's no coverage for the damage to that, which comes as a bit of a surprise when there's a worthwhile trailer and boat getting pulled from it. And again, you talked about guys that are just putting it in small ponds and stuff like that. It's like, nobody's ever going to steal it. I'm not worried about it catching fire. But then they get into that situation where even if they're jackknife, try to back up and you wind up, and you can wreck a trailer in a hurry. There's no physical damages coverages to that if you don't have a separate policy for it.
Wow. Yeah, no, real good. Sorry, did I cut somebody off? Go for it again.
Nope. I just had another question.
Go.
So if you're driving a boat on the lake, can you be charged with a DUI? And will that be affecting your insurance on your truck? I'm just trying to throw some questions out there that people might want to know.
No, that's All right. Well, so you're not allowed to operate any type of motorized vehicle, whether it's an ATV, anything like that, while under the influence of alcohol. If there is a loss and it was determined that you were under the influence of alcohol, your insurance policy is going to basically walk away from you.
Yeah, null and void.
Yep. No, and that's, yeah, no, it's for physical damages. Liability, it can still respond. It's still going to defend you and still get involved. But any physical damage to your own property while you're under the influence of alcohol, whether it's your car, ATV, anything like that, you're on your own.
Now, to be fair, drugs are added into that now with marijuana being recreational now, right?
It's impaired.
It's impaired.
Yep. That can also include prescription medications. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand as well. And that's,
any of those drugs that say may cause drowsiness or anything where they
don't
put that
operate
heavy machinery, anything
No,
where there's that precautionary message put out, I guess, could come into play really, because like you're saying, when it comes to this type of things and lawyers get involved, that they're gonna just grab at anything that the place of blame, right? So they'll blame it on whatever.
And those are obviously the horrific what if scenarios, and
absolutely.
that's if you're taking a painkiller and you're out, duck hunting or something like that, and somebody that's insurance isn't really going to be involved in something like that. But let's say you do happen to hit a water skier, or a member of your party winds up overboard and drowns, or even just winds up in the hospital. The lawyers are going to look at all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it can have an impact. It might not impact how the policy responds, but it's certainly going to help determine your level of negligence.
Good stuff. Yeah, go Mark.
Just something that I can't remember if you covered it or not, Phil, but what I noticed in the early part of the season, boating season, not in the late part, more so for some reason because people usually learn by then, is a lot of life jackets and other things that are left in boats end up on the side of the highway. They're going all out.
So further to that. So with my boat, obviously being 18 and a half foot, it's...
Love how he keeps throwing around. He got a fucking 18 and a half foot boat, eh?
Size matters, boys. That's what he's
big boat.
Yeah. Holy fuck.
How thick is it, Phil? How thick is that fucker, right?
Jesus.
81 inches wide.
Jesus Christ.
But further to what Mark brought up, once you get that boat loaded and you get her strapped down, you got the chain on, the whole nine, do a walk around. Is there anything loose in the boat? Is there anything going to come flying out? Is someone else going to, there was a shotgun found on the 401 in Whitby.
Yeah.
I think.
That was last year, right?
Last year before.
Yeah, I remember.
So my boat, I got a big full size travel cover for mine. So I pile all my stuff in the boat and I throw the cover on. She ain't going nowhere. Be responsible. In the case of that, you're talking unsafe load, which is a charge under the Highway Traffic Act. If you got stuff in your boat, it come flying out, go through someone's windshield. Guess who's getting done for it? You are. So be responsible. I've got a cap on my truck, so any other small loose items, they'll go in the back of the truck. Cap's on there. The doors are closed. Ain't nothing going to come flying out. I got the cover on the boat. Everything's secure. So make sure, like I said, you do the walk around. Even when you get back to the boat ramp and you're tidying up, do a walk around. Did you pick up everything? Pull that drain plug out, empty. We're duck hunting. We're in and out of the boat. Dogs in and out of the boat. This not. You're going to take on some water and whatnot. Pull that drain plug before you start driving home. Let the boat drain out. I always have my boat stored, drain plug out. We get a storm, water gets in there, whatever. It's just going to drain out. Another big thing I forgot to mention in regards to boat size is deep V's versus flat bottoms versus mod V's. And Damien, you can attest to this. When we're at the camp there, our good buddy Chris there, he's got a big brand spanking new shiny 18-foot low
roughneck
mod V.
Yeah.
His is in around 18 feet or so.
Not
but
18 and a half. 18.
No,
No,
it comes up a little short. He's got the big 60 tiller on there, and let me tell you, like we were coming back on that rough day, like 3-4 foot rollers. He got tossed around like a bloody tin can. Like those guys, like even it's a big 18-foot boat, but it's flat bottom.
That's right.
They don't cut water worth a shit.
Buddy, I've seen some fellas here in Ontario, and I've seen, like, personally, I have seen some fellas, and I've looked at them and I'm like, boys, over some birds, you're willing to take this risk over some birds. Amazing.
Well, another thing too, like with checking the weather, check it hourly. Like when I'm checking the night before to see what the weather's gonna be like, okay, this is the boat ramp I'm gonna use and stuff. Check the weather hourly because it can change. At 6 a.m. it could be 10K.
Yeah,
9,
especially if you're on any of the Great Lakes, 100%.
Which I hunt a lot.
Yeah, 100%, because that weather can come up. It can come up quick and dirty pretty fast, and you can find yourself in a bad mess.
She's 10K at 6 a.m. but she's 40 at 10. And this actually brings up a good story. So I was out hunting in Brighton, hunting the bay, and for anyone that knows, like it's a nice, good sheltered spot for the most part. The divers pile in there and whatnot, but she can get nasty. So a couple years ago, one of my good buddies, Jonathan Ritter, he's a fellow pro staffer there with Dixie Decoys. He came up for the weekend.
No big deal.
You have to have a big boat for that shit, don't you?
Oh yeah,
at least 18 and a half.
So Jonathan came up to my place for the weekend from Ohio.
Yeah.
So him, my good buddy Adam, Dom, my buddy Dom, he runs the Ontario Divers board there. Dom's got a 1600 series Alaskan just like mine. So the four of us went out in the two boats, and we got out, and right behind us, these guys launched in a little 14-foot tinny. So we went out in the center of the bay between the two boats. We ran 18, 20 dozen decoys on lines, running two layout boats. And these guys went whipping past us in their little 14-footer down into some little bay. So we're out in the center hunting the layouts, and you could see off to our kind of south, there was that definitive line in wind direction where we were in the layouts was okay. But if you went like, say, 400 or 500 yards the other direction, like you were sinking, you were going to get swamped, you're going under. So we're out there. A couple of the boys did the first sit. I did the second sit. These guys went back in for the third sit. And after what, half hour, an hour, that wind had shifted. And these guys were now on the radios, guys, get the hell over here, get us out of these boats. We're taking on water. So Dom and I jumped in our boats. We zipped over there. We got the boys out of the layouts. Like they were filling full of water. The waves were coming over, splat like these little splash guards they have, useless. And we got the boats in. We got all the lines pulled. What an absolute disaster that was. But again, like in just that span of like 2 hours, we went from smashing birds to, I wouldn't say saving our lives, but you're nearing that path, right? So we got everything in the boats. We got back to shore, basically spill out the contents out into the parking lot. We're untangling decoy lines, flipping boats, emptying water. Like, what a mess. But during the course of us being out there and that wind shift, these two guys in that 14-foot tinny, let me tell you, they were hauling ass back faster than you could, faster than us. Like,
yeah.
So know your water, know your weather, know your boat.
And that's something too. Like there's a couple guys that I've taken out locally here to some of my favorite spots that they're going to try and use some of them in the fall here, and they've got a 12-foot tinner, like a car topper, right? And they're like, oh, it was so good out there. Like, I could definitely take this car topper out there. And I'm like, boys, there's times when it's dangerous out there. Don't do it. And they're, no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Well, it's not that 90% of the time. Like every time we went out, it was beautiful and calm and flat water. But it's those times when that wind shifts, and you got to trust the people. Like, I'm not telling them, don't hunt your 12-foot tinner out there because I don't want you to take my spot. No, I don't want you to fucking die. That's what
I don't want to go to your funeral.
That's it. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
come out to my boat every single time. We'll be fine. I don't want you to die.
How just to change the subject here, Dave, how's that? Don't you have like a fucking mud motor in your garage? Like
Get fucked. Get fucked right now. You know what? I can't get the fucking. I need to put a new motor on it, and the border's closed until July 21st now. So
Dave,
fuck off.
you sound angry.
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you need
yeah. It's not a touchy subject whatsoever.
Dave, do you need a Snickers?
I do. I'm not myself right now.
I got
Karen.
a little bit of a boat story. So on my wedding day,
Oh, already best story of the night.
on my wedding day,
Let me get these in here nice and secure.
we were loading up in the cars and heading to my wedding down the 107 from Porter's Lake to Dartmouth. The wedding was at the Oakfield Golf Course, which is between Dartmouth and the airport. Anyway, we're driving down the highway and mind their own business driving. I'm in a rental car with my parents. So it's dad driving, I'm in the passenger seat, mom's in the back. And my brother is in front of me in his brand new Hyundai Santa Fe, him and his fiance. And like I said, we're minding our own business driving up the highway. And around the turn on the highway comes a Subaru Outback. It has Outback.
That's a Kia.
That comes.
Whatever.
So there was two canoes stacked on one side of the rack, and two mountain bikes on the other side of the rack on an Outback, like like one of those flat bar racks that sits on top. So this is all strapped down, and he came around the turn while we were going up the hill, and both the canoes let go as we're going around a turn. So these canoes, 16, 70-foot canoes, they're swinging through the air like this. One of them struck the front of my brother's brand new car, and then continued flying through the air and struck the front of the rental that we were in. Like it would have been a matter of inches, and that canoe was coming through the windshield.
Wow.
We were lucky it hit lower on the cars on both vehicles, because we were doing 100+ kilometers an hour when this happened. Like it was almost like there was no time to react. It happened so fast.
I'm sure. Well,
And-
even if there was time to react, the first thing you're like, holy fuck, that's a flying canoe.
Two flying canoes.
Two flying canoes, right? There is that split second of, holy fuck, there's some canoes before you actually get into reaction time.
It's like you're watching it in slow motion. Just
So imagine the story I'm telling the wife while we're on the side of the highway trying to use duct tape to tape the freaking cars back together. By the way, we might be a few minutes late. This is what happened.
Boys, I gotta this one I gotta tell Mark. I've been gonna tell you this for about 4 or 5 days, and you brought up duct tape, and this got nothing to do with duck hunting or nothing. My dad, I gotta tell this story. My dad can make anything. He's a welder by trade. He's fucking amazing. I get none of his traits when it come to making shit or anything. So he's out and he's cleaning up his backyard, like a bunch of birch and everything's all growing up and shit, right? And he's using his chainsaw, and he's like, fuck, he said, I'm saw's racing all the time. He said, I'm going through gas left, right, and center. He said, this is just hurt on the saw and stuff like that. He said, I wish I had a brush saw. Do you know what my old man done? He had an old skill saw, took the fucking blade off it and the perts, and hooked it up to his whippersnapper, and made his own fucking brush saw.
Oh yeah,
those are
Did it
awesome.
work?
Yeah. Well, he started it, and I don't think he's got the nerve to actually go in the woods. It works. The blade's still there, but he hasn't went in the woods and actually cut anything with it. Sorry, I had to digress there, because when he told me that, I'm like, red, green all over. If they can't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy, right?
So that,
If it moves and it shouldn't, use duct tape. If it shouldn't move and it doesn't, use WD-40. That's all you need. You know what? Your dad is going to be fine. Tell him to wear work boots, because if the blade does come off, it's going to come zipping back towards him. But
Yeah.
You know what? He's going to be fine. I've seen that done before. I got a question that it's sort of, and it comes up on my side all the time. You know, if it's in contravention of the Highway Traffic Act, does that negate my insurance? And you know what? The simple answer, no, not generally. And that, you know, your example with the canoes, Mark, that guy was probably negligent and probably did cause the accident. Your individual insurances, and it winds up being a bit of a complicated mess. But if you can actually get the information of the person that caused it, everybody will get all their money back, because that's pretty blatant negligence, trying to tie two canoes to a driving a Subaru Outback should be just negligence, right?
I 100% agree on that.
Anyway,
Hippies.
coming back to LBGD something. Anyway, I got question that I have, and it seems to be more of a northern thing, but when you see a truck pulling a trailer with a boat attached at the end, so there's three vehicles that are all in tandem, and we'll assume that it's less than the 76 feet, but those, they cause accidents that I've seen from the insurance side, and we pay for it. I mean, generally speaking, insurance is going to cover you and sort that business out at the end. But what are the rules about trailer towing? Like,
I think it's legal.
It is legal.
I've seen that debate before.
They did that. Have you seen that TV show Canada's Worst Driver?
Yeah.
They actually had a competition on that show where they had the tri-trailer thing going on, and they had to back the two trailers up into a spot, and whoever could do it first won, right? Well, the guy that won, he just pulled up to it, unhooked the back trailer, used his hands and muscled it in, and then backed the other one up. And he's just like, "Oh, I win."
Common sense will get you every time.
Yeah,
I think
the game.
It
So
still
for
comes
those-
down to gross vehicle weight, hey? It comes down to gross vehicle weight and what the vehicle can tow when it's for.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like,
Yeah.
if it's safe for the vehicle to tow it,
Yeah.
then you could have 30 things behind it. I would. There's no, you know what I mean? Like,
Got to be
No,
under
but-
76 feet. But
but you know what I mean? Like, it's no
Yeah.
different than a tractor trailer towing, when he's got a train going or whatever, right? Like, if the vehicle can do it and safely do it, and all safety measures are in place, then you should be able to do it. But I digress. I'll put it over to Phil. Like, fuck, no point.
Yeah,
for me
like
to-
in regards to it's running tandem trailers and stuff, at least as far as I know, as per the Highway Traffic Act here in the province of Ontario, it is legal. Like, I've seen numerous times on the highway, and I've seen it actually most commonly with Walmart. You'll have your truck, and he'll be towing two big honking trailers, and they'll even have this, the sign on the back of the rear trailer showing truck, trailer. So he's running 100 plus feet between the two trailers and the truck. And I've seen it obviously more commonly in the States. Guys hook up their big dually or whatever, and they got the big fifth wheel trailer and then the nice big fancy dancy fishing boat on the back and whatnot.
18.5 feet.
Maybe.
If they're lucky.
Sorry, Philly, buddy. I had to fucking jump in there.
Oh, buddy.
But speaking of that, Ian, if someone's taking their fishing boat, their hunting boat or whatever, to the States, how does that affect them?
anywhere in North America, you're
Anywhere in North
totally
America?
fine. Nope. Any insurance policy, your homeowner's liability, it will all respond anywhere in North America. Getting into European or the rest of the world, it can get a little bit more complicated. And feel free to email me, ian@ianmccleary.com if you got any specific questions. You don't have to be a customer to get good advice, but anywhere in North America. So
Now, do you know if that's
anywhere
the
you can
same
drive
for Americans coming to Canada? Because I see a lot of, we hunt with Jordan LeMay, and it's like a 2-second boat ride, and he's over in across the water, and so it's North American. I mean, we're hopefully one day this Union podcast becomes a global thing, right? So just figured I'd ask that too.
Great question, actually, and a common question. And your policy covers you, like you're insured anywhere that you can basically drive to. And same with anybody from the States that's coming up here. And if you do wind up in a tangle or altercation or accident, whatever you got going on, just share information. Make sure you get their information if they hit
Yeah,
you.
and you've got firsthand knowledge as well, Ian, because you own property in upstate New York, so you're doing that commute back and forth all the time, right? So
Yep.
so this isn't something you're just pulling out of your ass. Like this is
No.
firsthand knowledge and industry knowledge as well. Sorry.
Your policy covers you for anything that that can happen that's covered under the policy, whether anywhere in North America. So, yeah, but great question.
Awesome. Boys, I keep telling anybody that when I ask them to come on the show and have a chat with us, and they're like, well, how long does the show go for? And I'm like, usually about an hour long. And people get concerned because they're like, well, I don't know if I can talk for an hour. And I tell them, don't worry, time will go by fast, and we're almost at our hour mark now, and I could go on for another hour talking to you guys, and it seems like it was forever ago, Ian, that we had you and Carolyn on, and we were chatting about all the great things that the Real Outdoor Experience is doing, and you know what, and tonight we've had Phil and well, everybody's chimed in really with regards to some boating safety and stuff, and before long, it's going to be the middle of September, and we're going to be back out in those blinds, and we're going to be chasing those birds again, and doing what we love. Again, I love, and I look forward every Thursday. My wife laughs at me now because Thursday I go up to the fridge and I grab my bucket of ice and my 2-liter of pop and the other bottle of the other stuff, and I come downstairs and she laughs and she's like, you make it sound like this is a job that you have to do, like it's like,
Oh, it is.
She says, you huff and puff because you had to go down in the basement and you had to do the union, like it's torture. But here you are going off with your rum and your Coke and your ice, and you're all happy because you're going to go down and hang out with the boys. And I can't thank yous enough. And I really do mean that from the bottom of my heart. Like I can't thank yous enough for taking the time to come on and chat. For the people that listen and comment and pass on advice, either good or bad, whatever. We're big boys and we've got big shoulders and we can take it. I love the show, and I love what it stands for and all the good things that we do. I can't wait for hunting season. Like, enough with the insurance talk. And Ian, I know the insurance is near and dear to your heart, buddy.
Hey, it's a big deal for all of us. Not our favorite topic. Hey, I want to go out there and hunt too. I would much rather hunt than talk about insurance.
Oh, boys, like I had a guy. So there's a fella in Ontario that's in the works right now, and he's creating this ridiculous contest. And it really is ridiculous. And I don't want to get into it too much here because I don't want to steal his thunder. But he's reached out to me for a little bit of help, and I'll help him. So last night he sends me a message and he goes, name your 10 favorite ducks in Ontario. And I'm like, oh boy.
Isn't that like all of them?
Well, I know I definitely have a pecking order.
Merganser, cormorant.
Coot.
Coots, buddy. Fuck.
I don't know.
They banned them.
Logan McNulty is probably listening. We were down in Long Point last year, and we were hunting, and there's a bunch of fucking coots around, right? And I'm telling Logan, I said, don't you dare, do not shoot a fucking coot. And he was like, come on, man. He said, I've never shot
right
one.
there.
and Logan's from the Ottawa Valley as well, right? He was like, I've never fucking seen one. I've never had a chance to shoot one. I'm shooting one. I was like, don't you dare shoot a fucking coot. Sure shit, he goes and shoots one. And in Long Point, for anybody that's never been to Long Point, if you're in the managed area of Long Point, once you're done your hunt, you had to come back in to the station, and you had to let them know what you shot and what area you were. So we pull in, and there's a group of fellows from Michigan, and they're coming up towards it. Like, we're pulling into the station to go talk to them, and those guys are leaving, and they stop just to ask us what area we were in and how was the hunting. And the guy goes, so how did it go? And then out of the back seat in this dual cab, who shot the fucking coot? It was awesome. It was awesome. And Logan never even missed a step. That was me. I got the coot. But
that's too funny. You know what? As soon as you said who are your favorite ducks from Ontario, my mind immediately went to like Ryan Getzlaff and Corey Perry. And
yeah,
I'm more of a deer and turkey hunter, I guess.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I'm hoping this new property ends up. I was talking to a friend of mine, and this new property that I bought. He says there's a lot of deer around there, and I'm not a deer hunter, so it'll be it's trial by fire, and a lot of mistakes on my part, I'm sure, and learn the hard way, and try and figure out how to harvest a deer and put some meat in the freezer.
Your house is plenty.
Yeah.
Your house is plenty distance from everybody else. Just go out there with your mug and your ice and your pop and your other stuff.
Yeah.
Sit there.
Yeah. Sit there and just wait. But it is, like we're really now, like really today is the first real, what I consider is a summer day in Ontario, and that's that 30 plus temperature, and it's just hot and humid and the whole bit. But I am now ready for hunting season. Like I really am. Like, and I feel that fellas now fishing is about to get started. So everybody was excited for bass opener and everything. And once bass opener gets here and everything, soon as that date hits, the next logical one is early goose, right? And everybody is just chomping at the bit then. Okay.
Sky pandas.
Yeah. Cobra chickens.
You know what?
Cobra chicken.
This is the time of year right now to be obtaining landowner permission. And that's, it's something that we talk about all the time. And whether you're a deer hunter, turkey hunter, goose hunter, bodies of water, waterfowling is totally different. Right now, farmers are taking off the first cut of hay. Bales are sitting out there in the field. Go up to a farmer if you want to hunt that property and offer to help bring in those bales of hay. Because you know what? Everybody else that's your competition is out fishing and drinking and sitting on the docks and stuff like that. You put your time in right now, talking to farmers, getting the permission, do it now, because everybody else is going to start thinking about it around Labor Day.
Yeah.
Well, you just told the three people watching this show right now.
But just
it's a good point, because I know Phil, I don't know if you do, because I know you have a very busy schedule. But Mark and Dave, I know you guys do. I know you do offer up your time to your farmers, that you do use the property. You know what I mean? And Phil, I'm pretty sure you would too if you got the time. But you're 100% right. If you've been around a farm, like there's always something to be done, and they may not let you drive the combine, but I'm sure there's a fucking pile of shit that needs to be moved.
Or anybody that winds up with that forearm burn from picking up bales of hay, you know. Only certain select few know what that's from, right?
Just to add to what Ian said, like with the hay fields and the round bales, those are ultimate dog training fields.
Mm-hmm.
Those are guys that go out there like myself, like running dogs, training stuff. Those hay fields are like your bread and butter for doing drills. Like those hay bales, you can use those as obstacles. You can hide wingers behind them, use them for keyhole marks and stuff. Like the opportunities are endless. Never mind, getting the permission stuff. Those guys that train dogs, run dogs, like those are great places to get out and train.
Mhm.
Cool point, Phil. Really cool,
Yeah.
actually.
What were you going to say, Dave? Oh, no, nothing. Oh,
I
thought
was
you
just
were
going to say, if you're going to offer to do some work, make sure you offer to be the first guy in the mow. First time experience doing hay, be in the mow, boys.
Right. Oh, right. And yeah, wear a mask. You take your COVID mask. It's going to come in handy.
Well, boys, again, fabulous show. I love it. I hope that we can somehow portray how much we love chatting with one another out to the audience as they listen or watch us. Before we get too far, Mark, I need you to stand up and show off that beauty shirt that you got going on right there. This is the newest Punisher Waterfowl t-shirt.
Mm.
Ban idiots, not guns.
Hey,
Yeah.
with that,
Right.
something that came up today that we should maybe talk about.
Yeah,
I don't know. Can you hear me?
yeah.
I can hear you.
Yeah. Something we should talk about. It came up today that I don't know if people have seen the MK12 is now banned. And the
That's
only
that
way they can
Dara?
find that out,
That Dara, that
Daria,
yeah,
the
yeah.
MK12. Anyway, something that came up is people are like, well, how do I know that this came up? Because that list only gets released every 15 or 30 days, whatever it is. And it's really the gun companies that are releasing that information. So people without the internet, man, I don't know how they're going to figure that out. Like, anyway, just be careful, guys. There's more and more coming out. Join CCFR, join OFAH. Those are the people that have our backs, right?
I was really tonight is and again I don't want to turn this into a political show or anything, but I was really hoping to watch the conservative leadership debate tonight because I really wanted to see just where they stood with this because and maybe it's just me being naive, fellas, and thinking that the world is rosy and everything. I can't see this sticking. I really don't, and I could be foolish and naive and all those things, but I just can't get my head wrapped around how regardless of all the guns, and I know all the guns before this one, it's ridiculous. But this one here, this MK12, like that's just like, holy fuck.
To the letter of it are not any semi-auto 12 gauge with a removable choke.
We are, so anything, what I'm shooting, what any of us is shooting is the exact same thing as that gun.
Right.
The exact same
That
thing.
was a nice turkey gun actually for a lot of people.
It was an awesome. I know Perry Blanky and the boys that's their gun. That's their turkey.
Marco shoots one.
Yeah, that's their turkey gun, man. They love it.
My second favorite Portuguese. He'll laugh about that. he's my second favorite one.
Oh, Marco?
Yeah.
Well, I hope your first one isn't as fucking hairy as what Marco is. Holy Jesus.
Well, it's funny you say that because his name's Mark too. He's a good buddy of mine, guy I hunt with and whatnot.
We should get Marco on the show.
But
but you know what, even just from a photography perspective, he takes fantastic pictures.
He does.
First time though.
What?
Yeah, does he have 18 half of both?
It doesn't take him 6 or 7 tries to get that nice photo, right?
It's good that we've had so many episodes now that we have running jokes, right?
Here's one to add. If we're all game, we'll take up a little collection and we'll get Marco a charcuterie board for Christmas. He'll love it.
A charcuterie board.
Charcuterie.
Awesome.
A charcuterie.
You gotta have a puffier cigar when you're saying that.
Long and skinny with a little end on it. Yeah.
Alabama Slims.
Charcuterie.
Charcuterie. But that's a good point, Ian. Like we are pretty lucky here in Ontario. Like you look at guys like so Phil does some pretty impressive work with behind the camera. So does Marco. So does Ryan Campbell. Corey Baker is.
Oh,
Jordan Stone.
Jordan Stone.
yeah.
Corey Baker, in my opinion,
Yeah.
is second to none.
see a salmon?
Yeah. You know, like I know Marco does that Ducks Unlimited calendar. That must be a crazy hard job to try and figure out what pictures to pick, because I know some of the photographers that send them in, and geez, man, there's some impressive.
It's funny because I'm waiting for that next go around for when they're looking for photos, and I've got that gorgeous shot that I took at Duck Camp of Craig Lalonde's A5.
Oh, actually, I've got that picture.
The DU edition A5. That picture went quite viral. Actually, you guys shared it. Dixie Decoys, like it went around.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for it to come around. I'm gonna fire it in. Hopefully, it makes it like it's the DU edition gun.
Yeah.
And I got lucky just with the focusing and stuff. That DU head really popped on the side of the receiver. So we'll see.
Yeah.
You know what's really, really cool is that, you know, we're sitting there talking. We've all come together and, you know, we hunted together, and we're talking about Corey Baker, Perry Blanc, Marco. And these are all guys that we've probably never been together all together, but we all know each other.
Yeah.
We've all been together, and our circle
Absolutely.
is getting bigger, and it really is a brotherhood, and it's fun to be a part of it.
It's who's there, Dave? Is that Colby?
It's Kobe. Kobe's
Yeah.
just seeing what we're doing. He's getting big on this hunting stuff, and
Well, he should
he's
be
got his
sitting.
Challenger hat. And
He
he
should
won't
be
get
sitting
in
in.
here. He's shy.
Oh yeah, we'll work on that. We had Ian and I had another young fella that used to show up around hunting with us that used to be a little bit shy, and I don't think he is anymore. I think he went and bought Harry and the Hendersons, Ian, just to try and put our debate to rest there, and I still get the odd message from him.
The West.
The Wesley's still trying to figure out if Bigfoot's got a man dick or a dog dick, and that was so we're hunting, and you know, and of course,
Oh my God.
you know, you're hunting, you're staying at a camp, and fellas are being fellas, and you know, you're having fun, and sometimes I think we forget, especially when some fellas bring their kids along. Sometimes we forget our audience and who's around and stuff. So
Hey, he was old enough to hear that question, Dave.
Yeah.
Forgive me.
yeah. So I'm in one room. Ian is in the other room, and you know, lights are out, and Ian asks the question: do you think?
Picture a camp. There had to have been, what, 12, 15 people?
Yeah, easy. Yeah.
Totally quiet. And
Yeah.
it was like, I don't know. It was just funny.
I was like, lights out. Everyone was ready for. Everybody's had a few drinks. Everybody's getting ready for the next morning to go hunting. And Ian poses the question: does Bigfoot have a dog dick, or does he have a man's dick? And you know, I think it's a very important question to ask and very thought provoking. But this young fellow Wesley in the next room, and I think his first time around a bunch of men. His first time, his dad has certainly taken him, and being surrounded by a bunch of men in a hunt camp atmosphere, and we could hear him laughing for the entire weekend, because that was the funniest
He
thing.
left for probably an hour and a half.
Hey, what happens at Duck Camp stays at Duck Camp.
Right?
Obviously not now.
Not now, no,
It knows now.
It's all over the Webernet.
Yeah, it's all well, the three
This is
people that
editing
listen to the
portion.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? And that again just speaks to exactly why we do what we do on weekends. It's not just about knocking down birds. It's building relationships. It's bringing kids into that sort of thing. The fact that Wes is still talking about that Like that was
That's a memory.
Oh, yeah.
Not just a memory, it was a defining moment.
Mhm.
And that's
In his manhood.
And
Right?
man.
I'd like to point out he's turned into quite the gentleman now.
Yeah.
I met him there last year at the
He is.
Kingston Thousand Island
Delta.
dinner,
Yeah.
the Delta dinner there.
Yeah.
And
how
you know
many
what?
friggin' prizes did he win at that dinner?
well, you know what?
The
How many,
luckiest kid ever.
how many other 16,
Everywhere.
17, whatever year olds would stand up and shake a man's hand and introduce himself?
And
He's
yeah.
got it. He's got
Yeah.
it. That's good parenting right there. That's a good
And that's 100% a lot of what it is. It's some solid parenting, Dave. Just like you said, a very good points and solid parenting.
It takes a village though, and John would be the first to suggest that it's the group of people, and Damien, you're high on that list of influences that will give Wesley the confidence to stand up, look a man in the eye, and shake his hand.
Yeah,
because he didn't have that growing up, but that confidence. But he's got that
Right.
now, right? So
Right.
that's a big deal. Be proud of that.
It's it truly is. You know, you think about, you know, we're all here in tonight, at least we're all here in Ontario. Ryan's down in Nova Scotia, but you think about the vast size of Ontario and the population of Ontario. But then if you were to sit down and talk waterfowlers in Ontario, we do it every show. We'll drop a name of somebody, and we all know them. We've all hunted. Well, we all know him. Somebody is guaranteed to have hunted with him or her. You know, it's such a small community, and I always hear on social media that, you know, as hunters, we need to stick together and we need to look after one another. But more often than not lately, I see different types of hunters that are cutting one another down. You know, you've got your rifle hunters as opposed to, so you got your deer hunters as opposed to your waterfowl hunters, and then you've got the fellas that are into the sport shooting with their pistols and their prohibited weapon or their restricted weapons, right? Like, this is a time for us, every one of us, to unite. And we need to unite. We need to be able to at any given time, be able to speak the truth about hunters, be able to speak the truth about being responsible and being safe, and the reason why we do it. And that reason could be, I'm trying to put food on my plate, on my table for my family. I do it as a social, to be more connected with my friends and my community. Whatever it is, but you need to be able to give an educated and smart response when somebody asks you, why do you hunt? Why do you need a gun? And we have a lot of people right now that are not given that right answer. And it's feeding into the rhetoric that the anti-gun want. So listen, we are the union, and we are 100% blue collar, grassroots, just a bunch of people that love one another's company. Thank you so much for coming out, watching us again, because really the topic tonight was boat safety, and we spent all of 10 minutes on it.
An 18.5-foot boat.
And a big 18.5-foot boat. Listen,
Big boat.
it's a big fucking boat. Listen, this show is exactly what you see. There's no hidden agenda. We love one another's company. We love talking hunting. We love leaning on one another when we need to, and this is what we need more of. I would love to see 10 more shows like the Union sprout up all across Canada. It would mean the world to me to see more hunters reaching out and having more friends and more buddies doing what exactly we're doing right here. With that, Ian, thank you so much for coming on again tonight. I know you were busy and we had to pull you away from some stuff to get you to come on, but as always, we really do appreciate you coming on. Phil, thanks so much for doing that little bit on boat safety. And, you know, in the comments, if you got any questions far away, Phil will answer them for you the best he can.
Honestly, like just to recap things for the guys going out, know your boat, know your weather, and for the love of Christ, tell someone where you're going. Like I said, where your truck's parked, the area that you're going to be hunting, and who you're going to be with, and roughly when you're going to be home. I can't stress that enough.
Absolutely. Good points to end on. Fellas, love yous. Can't wait to do this again next Thursday. My rum bill is going through the roof here lately. So love it. I'll see you guys next Thursday. I believe we're going to have a really, really special guest next Thursday. So it's going to be pretty awesome. And Ryan, you know what? We need to post a picture on social media tomorrow of Ryan Bro looking like a fucking lobster. Because I guarantee you, he's going to look like a lobster tomorrow. You imagine a ginger out in like plus 30 weather, no shirt on all day.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be awesome. Fellas, I love yous. Oh, sorry, Dave. Go for it, bud.
Ian, thanks for coming on. Make sure, tell people how they can contact you so that for insurance stuff there.
Yeah, you know what?
Again.
Ian@ianmccleary.com. 2-season McCleary. And you know what, Damien, you can edit this piece out, but you guys, you know, you don't have to be a customer to get good insurance advice. Nobody, not enough of us have somebody that we could just reach out to when there's been an oops running on the side of the road, when somebody's hit us in the Walmart parking lot going like, what the fuck do I do? Call me. 519-619-0654. You know, I post that on my Facebook. Everybody gets my cell number. You guys use it. Your friends first. And just reach out. Awesome. Insurance is a personal thing for sure, but it's unanimous. It's exactly the same policy. The Ontario auto policy is exactly the same. Whether you get it from Desjardins, Economical, Bell Direct, it's exactly the same. So having somebody that you know and trust that you can reach out to, even if you're not insured there, and just kind of go, what do I do? I'm there for you guys.
Thanks,
absolutely, buddy. and that's why we love you, Ian.
Man, can't wait. You know what? I want to. Okay, so this is 2 union things. I think that should get me one weekend somewhere.
Absolutely, buddy. We're down. We want. So actually, I know Dave has brought it up to me a couple times that we'd really, really like to get involved with the Yoda event with you guys, and we really, really would. And I'm pretty certain that I could drop Mark's name down into that, because I know Mark would be all over it as well. Phil, he's got an 18.5-foot boat, so he probably wouldn't. But
she badass.
But buddy, we are down for anything that you guys are doing. All you got to do is offer the invite.
Appreciate it.
I know the invite is open, but let us know, and we're there, and we'd love to help you out any way we can.
The Yoda event's a big deal, and that's at this point it has been canceled because of COVID. But I think that's kind of a knee-jerk reaction, just because like everything's canceled on account of COVID. If we can pull an abridged version off, it'll probably be the weekend after Labor Day, and being able to get a couple of you guys out would make the world of difference.
Absolutely,
so
buddy.
We'll stay tuned. And you know what? I'm not usually very busy on Thursday nights. If there's anything you ever want, I'm here. All right.
Oh,
just saying.
Guest speaker Ian.
Yeah.
Just put a pin in that.
It's like is it Mr. Dressup who'd have the Casey and Finnegan and reach into the tickle trunk, and occasionally there'd be that that character that just comes out every once in a while.
Boys,
Like
we're on for an hour and 18 minutes right now, but I gotta do this. My wife and I were sitting around having drinks the other night, and Finnegan came up in a conversation, and a guy said to me, he said, "Well, there was like the fake Finnegan too, right?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Oh, we were talking about the color gray, and this guy said like gray like Finnegan, and I was like, "Yeah, that's about the shade of gray like Finnegan." He was like, "The real Finnegan or like the double Finnegan?" And I'm like, "There was no double Finnegan." There, and he fucking said to me, he said, there was 2 Finnegans.
Yeah.
Does anybody know who Finnegan is, or
I know who Finnegan is, but I don't remember the double Finnegan.
like
I'm 50. I remember.
I'm 43, so
Double
I
Finnegan?
don't remember double Finnegan. And
I don't
for any
either.
of you young fuckers that are listening that don't know, you need to brush up on your Canadian history.
Yeah.
And that's all I got to say about that. All
You know
right,
what?
fellas, it's been an hour and 20 minutes. I'm sure someone's hoping that we get the fuck off here real soon. Love it, boys. Thank you again so much. And I cannot wait until next Thursday to chat again. Big love, boys.
Good to see you, fellas.